for almost 2 years, I've lived with constant low-level noise in my head that never fully turns off. And I used to think postpartum anxiety was something to look loud, like a panic attack, like you see in the movies or like I had whenever I was younger. But for me, it was kind of quiet. It was functioning, it was smiling, all while feeling like I was slowly losing myself in the background. Like I was answering to mom, answering to wife, and slowly losing track of Sadie. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right on the outside, but inside it feels like you're barely holding it together, I want you to know you're not alone. Hey y'all, I'm Sadie, a mama, dancer, Navy wife, and a woman learning how to rediscover herself through motherhood. If you are in a season of rediscovery, trying to connect with who you are after motherhood, you are exactly where you need to be. On this channel, we talk about the journey of becoming her again, which is all about rising into a stronger, more aligned version of yourself. But we can't rise if we don't talk about the things weighing us down. So make sure that you subscribe because this channel is all about rediscovering, reconnecting, and rising into the next version of you. And today we're talking about something I think a lot of moms are experiencing, but not fully understanding, and that is postpartum anxiety. Now, this is not all about being diagnosed, right? But as a lived experience of trying to find your identity again when your brain feels like it's short-circuiting. And I want to be clear before we dive in, I'm still in this. I am still in progress. I don't have a healed highlight reel to show you today. I have a rebuild story that is happening in real time right here in this house with a toddler in the next room. And I want this video to feel like we're sitting on the couch together, just being real about the hard parts. Let's get into the top 5 strategies I've faced and the tools I'm using to show up for my life, my family, and my own dreams again. So the first struggle is one I didn't even have a name for at first, but it's sensory overload. As a mom of a 2-year-old, life is just loud. Think about it. It's the cartoons playing in the background, the toys that make noise, and the constant mom, mom, mama, and the physical feeling of never having your body to yourself. And for a person with a history of anxiety, that isn't just a busy day. It's a physical assault on your nervous system. I call it the red zone. It's that moment when the noise stops being background sounds and starts feeling like it's vibrating underneath your skin. My postpartum depression and anxiety made this even more intense. And I feel like I was constantly on the verge of a mom rage moment just because someone was touching my shoulder or the TV was just too loud. And I remember one day when Koa was just being a happy toddler that he always is, playing with his toys, but every time a ball bounced and it hit the floor, it felt like the door was slamming in my brain. And I felt so much shame in that moment because I thought, why am I so irritable? Why can't I just enjoy listening to my son play? But that judgment is poison. It only makes the anxiety spike. So how do I manage it? Well, the scientist versus the judge. I had to stop being a judge and start being a scientist. And this is a core framework for me. A judge says, you're a bad mom for feeling this way, you're ungrateful, but the scientist looks at the data. The data tells me that my bucket is full and my nervous system is overstimulated. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the scientist and the judge, be sure to check out my video called The Judge versus the Scientist, the identity shift that changed everything, both in motherhood and in dance for me. And this is where I go in depth on the judge and the scientist and how you can tell which one is leading your subconscious. But my primary tool for this is a 5-minute sensory reset. I've had to learn to communicate this, and honestly, that communication doesn't always look pretty at the moment, but I'm working on it. And sometimes just that awareness is what helps catapult your growth. But for this reset, I go into a dark room for 5 minutes. No phone, no scrolling, no noise, just breathing. It's about giving myself permission to be in process. And I'm not quitting on my family, I'm regulating so I can return as the version of her that is soft, patient, and grounded. Now, struggle number 2 is something that I call the what if loop. Anxiety loves to live in the future that hasn't even happened yet. It's like your brain is a supercomputer trying to calculate every single possible outcome of every single tiny choice. It makes high-stake crises out of the most mundane things. What if I'm not doing enough for Koa's development right now? Or what if I fail this audition and prove to everyone and myself that I really did lose my talent? It results in this heavy decision paralysis. You're so afraid to make the wrong choice that you end up not making any choices at all. And that loop is exactly what kept me from dancing when I first moved to California. I spent months looking at my old dance bag, thinking about how much I missed that version of me, but the what ifs were just too loud. And I was so worried about not being ready or perfect that I just stayed stuck. And I spent my free time staring at the wall instead of practicing because my brain was literally exhausted from overcalculating every single move before I even made it. To break this, I really leaned into starting over energy, where when I'm stuck in this loop, it's usually because I'm trying to control the end result. I'm trying to solve for Sadi, the professional dancer, before I've ever mastered Sadi, the woman who exercises regularly again without peeing herself. And I've learned to delete that pressure and strip back to zero. I ask myself, what is the one thing that I can do in the next 10 minutes that honors my identity? And sometimes that isn't even dancing. Sometimes it's just putting on old recital music and listening to it while I sit on the floor and play with Koa. It breaks the paralysis because I'm focusing on the action of becoming, not the fear of failing. And I stop trying to solve the next 6 months and start focusing on the next 6 minutes. It's a tiny shift, but it's how I've been able to start preparing for my next audition or sometimes even my next dance class. When my anxiety is telling me that I'm not ready yet, I tell myself, today I am just a student. Today I am just a person who moves. It takes that weight of the world off my shoulders. Now, this third struggle is one that feels the most personal to me. It's the identity disconnect. It's that haunting feeling that the old Sadi, the dancer, the girl who was bold and unapologetic with her desires, it's just a memory. Postpartum anxiety has this way of telling you that your passions are a luxury you no longer afford now that you're a mom. It creates this massive disconnect where you feel like you're just a vessel for everyone else's needs and your own soul is just hovering somewhere else. And I spent months feeling like a ghost. I'd look at my old dance photos and feel like I was looking at a stranger. I felt like I had to earn the right to be her again through being a perfect mom first. I thought if I just did enough chores or was patient enough with Koa, then maybe I could get an hour for myself. But that hour never came because the work of a mom is never done. I was waiting for a version of me to return instead of realizing that I had to go find her. But how I managed this is killing the praise trap. I had to kill The praise is poison trap. I realized that I was waiting for someone else to give me permission to be a dancer again. I was looking for external validation, the good job, Sadie, or you're doing so much, to prove that I still had it. But now I practice internal reconnection. I tell myself I am not a mom who happens to dance. I am a dancer who is also a mom. My journey back to the stage isn't an extra thing on my to-do list. It's a core pillar of my mental health. I manage the anxiety of losing me by actively building the new version of her every single day. I had to realize that if I don't show up for my own soul, I can't fully show up for Koa. My rediscovery isn't selfish, it's necessary for my survival as a whole human being. I'm reconnecting with the woman who exists outside of the laundry and playdates. Now, let's get really raw for a second because I know I am not the only one who has felt this. Postpartum anxiety doesn't always look like crying or being worried in the way that we expect it to be, right? Sometimes it looks like rage, okay? It's that flash of heat you feel when the house is messy, the baby is crying, and you just feel like you're going to snap because your internal wires are crossed. And the worst part isn't even the anger itself, it's the soul-crushing guilt that follows immediately after. You look at your baby and think, he deserves better than this version of me. And that guilt cycle is exactly where the anxiety wins. It makes you feel like you're a bad mom, which triggers even more anxiety, which triggers even more rage. And it's an exhausting loop that steals your peace and your confidence. And I remember sitting in my car sometimes just to get a second of silence because I was so afraid of that mom rage version of me coming out. I felt like I was constantly failing at the one thing that I wanted to be the best at. So what I started doing was rebuilding self-trust. When a rage moment happens, the judge in my head wants to shame me, but the scientist asks, Sadie, when was the last time you did something that made you feel beautiful and free? And usually that rage is just a loud siren telling me that I've been neglecting my own soul for too long. So I manage this through what I call scheduled sovereignty. I have non-negotiable times during the week where I am not mom. I am just Sadie. And whether that's a dance class, journaling, or just sitting in my bed in complete silence, those boundaries are the fence that keeps the anxiety from turning into anger. I've had to realize that my family doesn't need a perfect mom. They need a whole mom. And I'm learning that it's okay to be in process and still be a good parent. Now, the final struggle is the fear that I'll be in process forever. Anxiety loves to whisper that this rebuild era is actually your permanent home, that you'll always feel this tired, this disconnected, and this anxious. It makes you feel like you're miles behind every other woman on social media who seems to have bounced back effortlessly while you're still trying to find your footing. I look at other dancers and other moms who seem to have it all figured out, and the anxiety just whispers, that will never be you. You're too far gone. You've been out of the game for too long. And it makes the mountain of becoming her again look way too high to climb. But I manage this by leaning into the rise. I have to remind myself daily that becoming her again isn't a destination I reach once I finally healed or once I finally secured a spot on a pro team. It's the decision to show up today, even with the anxiety, even with the mess, and say that I'm still here. I manage the fear of being stuck by celebrating the micro wins. Did I talk back to a negative thought today? Did I hold space for myself even for just 5 minutes? Those tiny moments are the only proof of movement that I need. I've learned that growth isn't a straight line. It's a series of small, brave choices to keep going when your brain is screaming at you to stop. I am not stuck, I am under construction, and the masterpiece takes time. I'm finally learning to be okay with the messy middle of my own story. But before I let you go today, I don't want to just leave you with my struggles. I want to leave you with a way out of yours. If you're sitting there right now feeling that low frequency hum of anxiety, I want you to do something with me. I want you to take a deep breath right now. I want you to identify one area where you are being a judge to yourself. Is it your productivity? Is it how you handled the meltdown today? Is it the fact that you haven't touched your passions in months? Now I want you to put on your scientist hat, okay? Look at the data. Are you actually a bad mom? Or are you just an overstimulated human? Yes, who hasn't had 5 minutes of silence in 3 days? Are you lazy? No. Or is your brain simply stuck in that what if loop because you're terrified of failing? Yes, okay? When we look at our lives as the scientist, the shame disappears. And when the shame disappears, the anxiety loses its power. This is the first step of becoming her again. It's not about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about recognizing that you are allowed to be in process and still be worthy of a big, beautiful life. And I want you to write down one scientist observation about your day in your journal tonight. Shift the narrative from I am failing to I am learning. That is how we all start to rise together. I know it feels like a long climb. I know there are days where the ghost feels more real than the woman you're trying to become. But I am sitting here as proof that you can start over as many times as you need. You can be 29, a mom, a wife, and still decide that your dreams matter. You can navigate postpartum depression and anxiety and still find your way back to the dancer inside of you. Your journey of rediscovery isn't just for you, it's for your family. It's for your children to see what it looks like to live with purpose and with faith. It's for your partner to see you come alive again. But most importantly, it's for you. You deserve to answer to your own name again. You deserve to feel beautiful, free, and grounded in your own skin. Don't let the anxiety tell you that you're running out of time. You're just getting started. If I could go back 2 years and sit with the version of me that was just coming home from the hospital, that version of me that was drowning in the ghost phase, I tell her 2 things. First, I tell her that it's okay to not be okay. We put so much pressure on ourselves to bounce back and be this high energy, perfect version of a mother. But the truth is, you're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to be confused. You're allowed to feel like you've lost your way. But second, I tell her that the old Sadie isn't gone. She's just evolving. I used to think I had to find my way back to her, but now I've realized that I am building someone even better. The version of me that is training for the next audition today is stronger than the version of me that danced 5 years ago. Why? Because this version of me has survived the dark periods, and so did the version of me 5 years ago. But this version of me has navigated postpartum depression and anxiety and still chose to get back up. Rebuilding self-trust is the hardest part of managing postpartum anxiety. Anxiety makes you a liar to yourself. It tells you that you can't trust your own instincts. But every time you show up for yourself, whether it's a 5-minute stretch or just choosing to be the scientist instead of the judge, you are putting a deposit into your self-trust bank. You are proving to yourself that you are reliable. You are proving that your dreams are safe in your own hands. This is how we rise. We don't wait for the anxiety to disappear. We build a life that is grounded in self-trust, that the anxiety no longer has a seat at the head of the table. You are becoming the woman you were always meant to be, not despite of the struggle, but because of it. You are rising into her. So thank you so much for sitting with me today and letting me be real and raw with you. It's not always easy to share the red zone or the mom rage, but I know that when we speak our truth, we give others permission to do the same. And I hope I did that for you. So I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 struggles really hit home for you today? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. And if you're still feeling the weight of the world, go back and watch the Imposter season of Motherhood to remind yourself why you aren't actually behind. But don't forget to subscribe for weekly videos just like this, and be sure to drop this emoji in the comments below just so I know that you stayed till the end. But as always, remember, you are stronger than you think.